I think we've actually figured out feeder for Meta. It's actually pretty exciting. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of like share screen and start to go through all of the metrics because it's actually pretty exciting so far. So the account structure used to look like, and if I just go back in time here before the last week, I'll just go up to the 16th. The account structure that we had used to have kind of like a big campaign that was working well on our immune products. And that was like our flagship product, Immune. And we're trying to use other campaigns in order to focus on products that we're trying to scale up. The issue that we're running into, though, is that there's so much overlap because the products are so similar to our avatar that not one of them is really breaking out in a good sense, and everything's kind of running just slightly mediocre. So like our immune for cats is doing well, but we have 173 sales, 130 new customers, 125 are here, which is good. And then we have our immune new customers. We have 670 sales. We're like, well, crap, we just like shaved 200 off the top because we want the new customers. And then of the new customers, we're doing well. So I'm like, well, whenever we're asking for like new customers, those seem to be working well, but it might not be the new customers that we want. Like this one here that's doing the all products that we just started. We're like, okay, we have 20 sales, 15 new customers. And then we're selling our immune, 12 new customers, immune cats, 11. I'm like, okay, we're actually seeing like some good new customer just coming in at levels that we're already spending on. So we're finding out that if you spend on campaign A and spend on campaign B, campaign A and campaign B will just mix the two together. And then whatever has a higher ad spend just ends up selling both anyway. So we're like, well, does it really even matter? So we said, well, what if we looked at this a different way? What if we took a product? What if we took just N and C campaign, just one brand new customer campaign, and we sent a whole bunch of feeders to it? Because as long as we're spending like 100 grand here, this one scaled up from 9 grand to 100 grand, basically the state range here from when we launched it, and we saw some good performance. And we're like, well, that one is actually coming down to like the levels that we were down in here, but actually a little bit better. We were spending 80K getting 439. Now we're spending 100K getting 323. Like, okay, so there's actually some progress here. Like there's some things here that could work. What we did now is we launched a new campaign last week. We launched actually 4 new campaigns, and we're actually testing now some of our targeting inclusions and exclusions as signals. So what we're asking it to do is say, okay, we want you to spend $13,000 a day on all of our products for all new customers. And we want this one to count the 7-day click, 1-day view, or 1-day engage view. Because
so
this has
as much attribution as possible kind of thing.
Right. And because it has the highest amount of ad spend, this is going to be what is going to engage the audience the most. Because everything is pixel based now. When I say pixel based, I mean what meta engineers have been kind of singing the same tune is looking at spend is actually going to tell you what your pixel is actually attracting the most of. So imagine this is the cloud and this is the pixel, and we have a lot of people over here. Actually, I'll make this a different color. We have a lot of people over here, and this one is looking for like the immunity. So immunity. So we have our immunity product over here, and then we have like a small little green circle over here. This is like our hip and joint work. So we have our hip and joint product right here. So this is now, and then imagine that there's going to be a bunch of other circles for this one is going to be
all the other products that are kind of mixed in there kind of thing.
Exactly. So they're all kind of scattered here. So when it says, here's your ad spend towards your pixel, and this one, let's just say is oral health care. So we'll just say like oral health care. I'm not going to write the word oral on a live. I know my audience. So we have immunity, hip and joint, and oral and healthcare. And the spend, this is how the pixel targets. So if you say, okay, well, I'm going to take 10K and I'm going to move this up to, let's say, now 20K in spend. So we're going to increase the ad spend 10K and 20K. And because the overlap is so great, when moving to 10K and 20K, in our brains, we have to kind of imagine this is actually what happens. It's like, oh, you move from 10K to 20K. So you're still going to spend the same amount of money on the same amount of users if your ad spend is equal, of like pushing, 100% more here, 100% more here, 100% more here, but the ratios are off. So we said, okay, so how do we control the ratios then to that main spender? That's where feeder comes in.
Wait, sorry. So ratios are off when you scale up. So it doesn't prioritize the one that's selling the most. It will try to push ones that aren't selling, is what you're saying? So the ratio gets thrown off and it gets inefficient?
Yeah, so essentially, like
Okay.
if we look at here, this is our critical immune defense. See how there's 17 there. This is our joints, which is 4, and this is our digestive, which is 5. So if we're looking at 17, 4, and 5, in this campaign up here, you'll have a ratio out of, let's say that's 9 plus 17, that's 26. Out of 26, 3/4 of that should be the immunity. Well, let's
Gotcha.
see. So if we have 283, is 2/3 of this immunity, or at least 2/3 immune? Well, we have immunity new customer cats and dogs, 240 out of, this is all overlapping because this campaign just launched and is now attributing everything, unfortunately. But you can see, yes, about 2/3 of that is our immune compared to like 40 the digestives and joints and orals. Okay, well, how do we get joint new customers from 24? How do we get that higher? How do we get more joint sales? Like that's what we
Gotcha.
need. We need to have all of our products at the highest amount of ad spend as humanly possible. We don't want Meta just selling the one product simply because it has the highest amount of ad spend and all of the creative. So it's
Gotcha.
almost like, yeah, John, I'm selling car washes, but how do I also sell my detail? I'm selling my desk furniture, but how do I also sell chairs? I'm getting leads for my dentist office, but how do I get it from my orthodontist office that's affixed to my same building? So how do we manipulate the pixel to go after newer audiences? Well, it's done at spend level. So it's, a lot of people are like, well, I tested $1,000 and it looked good, and then I scaled it a little bit and it didn't work. That's because that 10% is kind of like being overshadowed by the 90% that is trying to the pixel's trying to retarget anyway. You have to grow that thing. You have to build out a new office space for your new users, essentially. So if we think about it like in a realistic scenario, you have Costco, but Costco only sells this one glass jar, and you opened up your front door and now there's a million people all buying glass jars, and you're like, you know what, I'd like to sell some energy drinks now. It's like, okay, well, how do you take the million people that are wanting glass jars, be like,
Yeah.
put a new ad in there, be like, energy drink ad? All the glass jar people are just gonna be like, they don't care. So how do you build out that audience? And so what we're doing with feeder strategy is, well, if I can add in a new campaign for my energy drinks, can I grow that at a better or similar NCAC than what we're already seeing with our mason jars, with our immune product? And so far, I'll just give you a couple of things that we're seeing. I'm going to turn off the comparison.
Quick question on that though. Are
Yeah.
you using the same event or a different event?
Oh, yes, all purchase NC.
Okay, so all of them are new customer. You're just segmenting by different creative.
Exactly right. So one campaign,
Okay.
one asset, all digestive creative, and then spend.
Gotcha.
Again, like for here, I don't really care about that. 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 What I care about is the spend levels on our products.
Yeah.
Everything else in between right now for all intents and purposes is blind to us. I can't see it.
So you are doing general purchase, like you're doing like first click, new customer kind of thing.
Yes.
And the original build that we were talking about, once you hit like a wall, in order to have the same effect, is you would be building out
Pushing
separate
creative.
campaigns for separate creative and a separate event for that specific product. So
Yeah.
does that no longer work as effectively? You're looking at more so just the pushing of the creative and consolidating the data.
Yeah, because the spend
Okay.
levels dictate where the pixel fires, essentially where the targeting goes. My $3,500 worth of additional spend was not enough to overtake the $90,000 worth of remarketing of that campaign, and
Okay,
also the
gotcha.
attribution that it would suck up away from that.
Okay, so sorry, I'm working through this, and I hope
Yeah.
everyone gets value from it too. I just
Yeah.
want to make sure. So you're, because I'm pairing this with the previous strategy to get a better picture of what the algorithm's
Yeah.
doing.
So the difference between these strategies are, if I push ad spend into another product, I see that product selling in another campaign. For example, I think once I start continuing on, you'll say, okay, this makes sense. Like, watch. Wait, just give me a minute. Just give me 1 minute. I promise.
Okay.
See how you have digestive right here?
Yes.
See how we have 5 digestives?
Yes.
Like what basically it says are 4 new customers in digestive.
Yes.
This campaign here has 28 new customers in digestive.
Gotcha. Okay.
So this one, like, so we're thinking like, well, shit, how do we grow this at 5, and how do we get a better NCAC? It was happening.
Yeah.
It was happening anyway.
Yeah.
It's just they were showing up at this campaign. Why? Because this had 90,000 chances and this only had 3,500 chances.
Yeah. I think okay. So what I'm understanding, because like Google, you segment when you segment, the data still is kind of consolidated per se, and it seems like
Mhm.
Meta when you segment, it doesn't necessarily benefit the pixel. It's more segmented than you want it to be.
It's definitely more segmented than we want it to be, and it's also the last click attribution directing spend is the opposite of what's actually happening.
Yeah.
So if I bring in a whole bunch of new people on the digestive, but then this one has a 1-day engaged view of digestive, I can't even cost cap or scale that one because the creative
Yeah.
in that campaign says nothing's working.
Yeah.
So
No, that makes
all of the joint, all of the immune, and all of the digestive creative is all in this one too. So these two campaigns have the same ads. These two campaigns have the same ads, and then
yeah.
these two campaigns have the same ads. So if I push harder on here, I should see. And then let me just give you the example as to how we're measuring this. So we do this. We have spent 7,000. No, I'm not going to do immunity. That's easy. Let's do digestive because that's what we're going to try to increase. I have 3,539 digestive. Okay. And we divide 3,539 by, we have how many new customers in digestive here? We have 4. How many new customers in digestive here? We have 28. So we have 32. So divide this by 32 new customers. That's $110 NCAC. Is $200 below what our immunity NCAC is. So we have a lot of room to scale. So what we're going to do is take the digestive here that we're spending the money on, and we're going to crank that up to, like, let's say, instead of spending 3,500 a week, we'll spend $7,000 a week now. We're going to double our ad spend on digestive. And how does all of our digestive sales happen regardless if this is a first click, second click, or first click, second click, or first click, first click, first click, second?
You're
Doesn't
just
matter
looking at how
anymore.
the funnel reacts based off the product
I
sales.
now
You're
I
not,
can exactly right. I can push more ad spend to the product, and if someone clicks on digestive and ends up buying joint, digestive will still be like, I won, and it'll still spend more. Great. So it doesn't react negatively to the false attribution because all of them are now counting NC. So
Gotcha.
if product sale A ends up in campaign B, the old
Yeah.
model will say, shit, now I can't do either one.
Yeah.
But now product sale A can happen in either A or B, and I can control how much more ad spend to those products now.
Wow. Okay. That's gonna be a lot of updates in the school group. So the whole framework has kind of shifted a little bit. So we've taken out the event segmentation and leaned more into the creative as the segmentation.
Now, this is for companies that were like, I have 80% of my sales on my 2 flagship products, but I have 3,000 other SKUs. How do I grow?
Yeah. You start with the core and then move to the
Right. And so what was interesting is we said, okay, well, let's just see how this is working now inside of our campaigns. So, or inside of our top line. So we started this campaign here. We look at like the last 14 days. So if we look at the 16th to yesterday, we have 460 sales. Okay. So let's just look at our total NCAC here. So we have 104,357, 104,357 divided by, we have 460. 460. We're getting a 266 NCAC. Let's go to right before that, where it is now 11 to 17. And then let's do this from 11 to 17. 344. So now this is 93,000. 93640 divided by 344. So we went from a 272 NCAC down to a 226 NCAC. And we've actually increased ad spend by 10 grand. So we've rebuilt the entire account, spent 10 grand more, and dropped our NCAC $50. It's a much more seamless approach for the algorithm as to how it wants to work. All ad spend can remarket all users, everything. Okay. That's just kind of a something we have to contend with. How do we grow more of product B? Well, if product B is found in both A and B, but B is only measuring click attributed, it will keep itself very cold. It can't really remarket off of engaged view or view conversions. The main one can, and it has a high ad spend, and it deserves a high ad spend because it is getting the most amount of new customers, but it will also remarket more new customers than what the individual feeder campaigns can produce on their own. So they have to work together, because last click attributed will mean, well, if you spend $1 and I spend 10 and we have one person, who has a better chance of attributing that person? I do, because I spend 10 times what you do a day on that person. So theoretically, I'm going to win that sale. Now, is it of the product that we wanted? Yes. On creative that we want? Yes. That's different than if the joint was remarketing Immune and pushing joint ads to Immune users, and we think joint's doing better, and now joint can't scale because it was remarketing Immune. But gotcha. now they can blend together.